Welcome to the Packaging Etc. podcast, where we will discuss all things packaging and some things not. We will hear from professionals across all areas of the industry: design, engineering, manufacturing, and many more. We will learn about packaging trends, new technologies, and cutting-edge innovations. This podcast is all about showcasing our favorite parts of the industry, the people, and giving them a platform to share their stories and their knowledge of packaging. Let's take this journey together. And now, your host, Matt Mulvey.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Packaging Etc. podcast. Today, we will be meeting with my longtime friend and industry colleague, Guido Schmitz of Parpax, whose organizational focus is on replacing traditional plastic applications with fiber-molded packaging. Guido, welcome to the show.
Hey, welcome, Matthew. Nice to doing this with you. Very excited.
No, I appreciate you setting some time aside for us. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your background and how this molded fiber venture came to be.
Yeah. So, I have a long career in the industry, and I know Matthew for a long time. I started very young in Germany with Bayer Consumer Health, and I was in a kind of apprenticing. I started with 16, and I had different roles. I worked in engineering. I worked on design projects, research projects. So I did a lot of different things, mostly in the early stage development in consumer health products. So, and 2003, I get the opportunity to go for 3 years on an international assignment to the US to be a part of a new development team with focus on the global footprint of OTC development. And I'm still in the US. I love it. I had different big projects. I worked on technology improvements. I did a lot of packaging change, but also I worked on the formulations. And that gave me my view, what I have today, that I cannot separate packaging from the product anymore. I have to see the whole picture. So in my career, I was assigned 2010 in the Bayer executive innovation team. So it was actually a board assignment, what makes me very proud. And that was a kind of a wild card for me, that I almost can do what I want, and shows that the organization had a lot of belief in me.
Mm-hmm.
After this, I also started to lecture at the University of Rutgers in the packaging engineering department, and I lecture product design on packaging innovation. After 40 years, I didn't see myself in the company anymore, because I didn't want to put profit before human health. I like to do what is important. So I was able to left under good terms, and I started the implementation of Parpax America here in the US. And our focus right now is a plastic-free packaging, how we can turn nature products in viable packaging solution. By doing this, I have a lot of contacts in the industry. It's a very early stage industry, but with a big future in my mind.
So your work is right at the heart of the giant sustainability initiative that's facing packaging and pretty much every manufacturing industry.
Yes. Our focus is really take nature products, turn them in fiber, and then in three-dimensional objects. And everything what we do is fossil-free. Let me say, it's very hard to say PFAS-free, because PFAS is everywhere, but our materials don't contain any PFAS. And our focus is to replace as much plastic we can.
No, that's great. That's a great initiative. I know every industry function you attend, regardless of which subset of packaging you belong to, the S word, sustainability, is the biggest hot button going in the industry. So, great to hear you guys making efforts and inroads on trying to go greener. So I understand that you own several patents. Would you mind telling us about some of the patents you have?
Yeah, so in my career at Bayer, I have a lot of packaging design, like the Aspen and a leaf bottle with a soft touch. We was able to have a design protection on this. I have multiple process patents, but I think they're kind of also old. So in the last 10 years at my life at Bayer, I actually decided I don't want patents anymore because it's a lot of work, but you have nothing from this. So I have process patent to improve production capability, output. I have formulation partners with some aspirin on a global footprint, and then also with changes of packaging structure. Yeah, actually, and lately in my new adventure at Parpax, I reboot my thinking about patents. So I cannot talk too much because they're not public right now, but we're working right now on a couple of application patents regarding fiber packaging with nature barrier coatings.
Okay, interesting.
And in Parpax by himself as an organization, we have around 75 partner around improvement of fiber molding, and actually also nature coating, what is key to deliver shelf life or replace plastic.
Kind of one of those Top Gun moments, right? It's top secret information. I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
No, not really, but I had a call with my lawyer yesterday, and he said, look, we have to do the provisional first, what we're preparing right now, and then we can talk. So
of course.
It's all about take a nature product and turn this in an application, what is around for years, and no big changes. We make it only worse because we put more color, we put more inks, we put different things, and we make it not actually recyclable anymore. And then you coming and say, look, fiber absorb moisture. I do a natural barrier coating, and then I have a kind of moisture protection inside, and I have consistent conditions, and I can put certain products, what you and I like, Matthew, put in, and you have a new packaging system. So
how would the molded fiber products fit in with single stream recycling?
Yeah, first is we have to see what kind of fiber we use that we in a paper stream, and if you have, let me say, normal transportation inserts, they're purely hardwood, softwood paper that pulp them, so they separate the lignin and all the cellulose that we don't need from each other, put it in, and then you can throw it in a paper stream or actually in your backyard. Disappear after a couple of months. So it's not that this package will be around 600 years.
Mm-hmm.
It will be maybe longer than 120 days, but it goes away in under a year. So I do a lot of our packaging, our trials, what we do, I test them by myself, put dirt in and grow my herbals and put them in my backyard and see where they're going. Yeah, so the whole fiber molding products in nature, I take straw or other stuff. I'm not sure that has always worked in a paper stream, but it is at least compostable or degradable. Yeah.
So 5 to 10 years from now, everybody could have their own personal compost heap in the backyard. It would make my father happy. He was always preaching about using crushed eggshells and used coffee grinds to help my grandmother's roses grow. I remember that from when I was a kid.
Yeah, actually, so I try to live what I do. Yeah, so I started to compost, and I have different areas how I do this. Some area I have a composter that I put everything in with not thinking. Yeah, everything what is nature I put in. And the other one I put coffee grinds, and now we open a new fiber creative center here in New Jersey, and actually I will have outside certain areas with different soil, with different asset levels, because to really understand what my packaging is doing. We really focus on have no environmental impact. You said a couple of times sustainability. This is around for a long time, and when you're looking in sustainable business, it's actually maintaining status. I personally believe we need a little bit more. We need to really understand the impact of this, what we do, and to make the changes, what we have to do, it's by us first. So if we start to compost, if we can, not everybody has a backyard, but if you be a little bit more conscious what we use and which material we use, and maybe pay a little more, but the environment input is actually less, that would help. So I personally believe the movement, the change, what is necessary to reduce CO2 emission, start with us as a consumer. And we have to make the pressure on the big brands that they know the consumer looking for these new solutions and pushing this stronger than they do. Yeah.
So do you think that there could be a potential application for call it a secondary market, the reuse recycle concept with farming and agriculture? Is there any reason to believe that the compostability of the molded fiber packaging could be used to leverage improving soil quality for farming?
Yes. But these are all, as I said, the fiber molding is a very old technology, is around for 100 years. I mean, X-Card. But there was no development, no improvement over the last 60, 70 years. So there has to be a lot of research to be done. I know that a lot of universities like Rutgers, Penn State, Staunton, they're looking in the impact of fiber, compost them and put them back to the field. Or we have, for example, a process that we develop with a transportation tray that we actually build a circular system. We work with a glass company. They put the glass vials in plastic. Now they use our fiber tray. They move the vials in this, the glass, the packaging, the glass vials, and the fiber trays goes to the brand. They fill it up with high-end cosmetics. We take the transportation tray back and repulse them. And we figured out that about 15 times we can do this in a circle. So if you do this right, you can be your own fiber supplier. You have to always sometimes put fresh pulp in or fiber in, but you can actually be your own supplier and reuse your fiber multiple times.
Okay.
And then you save money. Yeah, that's actually, but these are little projects. Yeah, when you do this on a big scale, it looks different. So I think there's so much potential if you bring the right people together. I'm always, my whole life, I believe you're only so good the people you're working with. If you bring the right people together, I think we can improve a lot of our current system. Not in every area, but we can do a lot.
I couldn't agree more. No, that's a great point. I also wanted to ask you, you had mentioned that, I think you said 2003, you moved to the US. So growing up in Germany, if you don't mind telling me a little bit about what that was like.
Yeah, it was very interesting. So I grew up in a Bayer family. My whole family worked for Bayer. And I usually say before I was 15, I never met somebody before that doesn't, somebody in the family didn't work for Bayer. Yeah, so for me, it was very clear. My career is with Bayer. Yeah, so my family has about 400 years family history, and a lot of my friends have the same. So I growing up in Germany with soccer. For us at this time, soccer was everything. I played the whole week, every day. I was out on the field and played, and I had a kind of a, let me say, amateur career at soccer. In Germany, I played the German military national team with some very famous soccer player, but then I had an accident and my life was over, my soccer life.
Yeah.
And then I started my apprentice at Bayer. And Bayer was really, really a good company, really family focused. If your parents work with Bayer, you get an apprentice. Yeah, it doesn't matter how good is your education or your school result, which direction you go, but you can have a very decent career with Bayer. And that's what I did. I started with apprentice thing, develop myself through this. And then what I think is when you have an engineering career, you always try to look what we say over the plate. Yeah, some people stay on the plate, but we always try to look in different areas. And Yeah, I'm very thankful for my time at Bayer, but I'm more thankful now my time here in the US and what I do and with all the connection. So the life in Germany was good, but I think to develop your talents in the right direction and grow also as a person, but also financially, is US a way better country to work than Germany. Yeah.
That's an interesting point. So you mentioned soccer, Bundesliga. Who's your team?
Yeah, Bayer Leverkusen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Is that a birthright in your family based on where you grew up, or is that a choice?
I don't know. My family was nobody in my family was Bayer Leverkusen fan. My brother, the Erster FC Köln fan. My parents was both Mönchengladbach. I Leverkusen was close. I can walk to a stadium. I was in the second league. Then they come in the Bundesliga, and last year they won actually the two biggest title in Germany. It took them 60 years to do this. So actually, I flew over.
Did you
I was
really?
invited, and I flew over to the last game, and I get the championship trophy, and I saw with a lot of my best friends the cup final what they also won, and I went to the homecoming. It was actually pretty cool. I think Leverkusen has about 660,000 people living in the city, and 200,000 people were on the street. So everybody, it was very amazing how a good sports team can push a movement in a town. It was very cool to see that in every window was flags and we are one team, and that's what I like. We are one team. So it's not only the team what plays, it's also the support of it. I like this a lot.
Yeah, I've always been jealous of the um, international stage when it comes to, well, world football, but soccer. Growing up in the States, we didn't really have and we still don't have, although MLS I think is coming along a little bit. We don't have the same level of talent and the same level of passion. So I have yet to see a game in an international forum. I've seen a few games at MetLife in the old Giant Stadium, some international friendlies and whatnot. But I maybe 10, 15 years ago, I became a Tottenham Hotspurs fan, and it's a kind of a funny story how I started rooting for them. I basically said, I'm not going to pick the top three. I'm not going to pick the bottom three because I don't want to get relegated. So that left me with 14 teams to choose from. And, through really, really random, high school level assessment skills, I landed on Tottenham. So I've been rooting for them ever since. But listen, they've been relevant in the Premier League. So it's been fun to watch.
Oh, I have to disagree with the US talent. What I see right now is the US developed really a lot of soccer talents. And when you see how many American player plays in the European leagues, and that's key, you have to put your talent in competition. Yeah, when I looking here, high school soccer, and I saw a lot of talents, but they play against other high schools, and the good player played the not so good player. And I think in Europe you see they put the best players plays against the best players, and that makes the players better. And that's also in real life. We have to identify our good talents and put them out in real competition in the world. And I'm pretty sure if they have the right coaching, US can actually play a role in 26. Yeah, with the World Championship. So because they have key players in Europe, in good teams, and if they get the right coaching together, and with a good support, what is maybe the question here in the US and soccer, yeah, because when you see the European fans, it's different. Yeah, the fans can actually push a team, but I think US is on a good way to have a decent team in world soccer.
I think we're definitely headed in the right direction. I don't think we're there yet. We're not in that conversation of, hey, World Cup 26 is around the corner. We're hosting, or three countries are hosting, but US is one of them. A lot of times you'll see that the host team is expected to make it out of the group stage and really make some noise into the knockout rounds. And you kind of hedge your bets with the U.S. team. You're like, you're not entirely sure what you're going to get. So I remain guardedly optimistic and hopeful, but we're not there yet. So I did want to ask you, it's always interesting working in the packaging industry. Everybody comes into the industry with a different background, right? But I have yet to meet someone that has said, I've wanted to work in packaging my entire life, right? They always kind of fall into it, if you will, myself included. So, but just out of curiosity, when you were a kid, what was your dream job? What did you want to be when you grew up?
I want to be a soccer pro, but I realize it's not happened. I love a quote, as always when I start my lecture. I always start with a quote from Mark Twain. There are two important events in your life. The first when you're born, and the second when you figured out why. And I think that's the key. When somebody early I like to work in packaging, and go for this and understand what he has to do, and he will have a good career and he will be a nice life because he do this what they want. And I see this on my students. I think I have one student this year. I have to say, I do this now in my 10th semester. I only take seniors, but I never had a talent in my class like this here. Yeah, and this is what I try. Oh, he has a talent and he's good in packaging. He's 20 and he do his own business in packaging prototyping. So these kind of people you have to find. I would say I figured out what is really my talent when I came to the US, not before. I will jump between jobs and I know what I like to do, but I really was clear that's a packaging, let me say, a holistic approach in packaging. That means understand product, technology, and materials came very late to me.
Okay. For me, I guess I'm still holding out hope that the Yankees are going to call and ask me to play third base for them. I was always, your prototypical American kid with a deck of playing cards in my back pocket, a ball cap on, and a glove and baseball glove and a baseball. That was my passion growing up. Either that or when the movie Top Gun came out with Tom Cruise, I wanted to be a Top Gun pilot, but claustrophobia kind of took me away from that. So, but hey, listen, I've had a wonderful ride in packaging, well over 20 years now in my career in this industry, and I love it and have zero interest in moving out of the industry. So I see myself sticking with it, obviously, for the rest of my career.
I would say same for me. Let me say, in this packaging for a while. I had a great success. I met really good people. And I think the packaging industry is a good industry to be in. And as for young kids, if they're really committed and good, they can have a good career in this. And you see, we have about 500-600 packaging students every year graduate, and there are more jobs in the packaging world than we have packaging engineers. So there's a good opportunity, and I love it too. Yeah, and I think the area that I'm in right now, it's actually a new chapter. And I said, when I was in my packaging world in pharmaceutical, I go on the trade shows. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of vendors all over the world. When I go in my packaging trade shows connected to fiber molding, there are few. And there's a good opportunity for a lot of people to shape this industry in a direction that actually is good for the environment. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and we're both, granted we're at different points in our career, but being veterans in the game, our jobs now, turn more towards, mentoring, the future of this industry. The thing that amazes me the most about packaging is the fact that the people that I have met throughout my career, how passionate they are, how we share that passion of this industry and the dynamic that it brings and new experiences every day. I can't think of other industries. And again, maybe it's just because, this is my passion. But I can't think of other industries where I've spoken to people where they seem to be as passionate about their job and what they do. And, it's really kind of an interesting perspective when you think about the type of experiences you can have throughout your career within the packaging industry. I really do think it's
Yeah,
unique in that respect.
I agree. And it's also when I start my semester, first thing what I say is, I don't lecture a book. I lecture my life. I lecture this, what I believe the next generation of packaging engineers need to know. It's not what somebody read. It's this what you have to the influence what you try to have in your world. Yeah, and if you like to write packaging specification and you're happy, fine. If you like to identify the future material, even better. Yeah, so I think it's a very nice area to work in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm hoping that we'll have some packaging students dip into this episode. So knowing that you have experience with teaching at Rutgers, and thank you for that. Me being a Rutgers grad, I definitely do appreciate people from industry lending their talent and experience and knowledge, to the future generations. But what advice would you offer a student, a packaging student, either in college or a recent graduate that was interested in getting involved in the molded fiber movement, if you will? What would you say to that person? If they ask you for some free advice?
Yeah. Let me say that's a growing industry, and as I said, there are a handful of people that are really in this. And then what I still feel is what I feel in every industry. We have the people that build the machine. We have the people that grow fiber, how I process it. We have the people that make fiber, pulp, and make paper and other things. So it's really try to understand nature, what products or what nature is doing to protect itself, and how I translate this in future environmental packaging solution. And specific in fiber, is then so many fibers out right now. For example, I clean up my backyard and there was a leaf, and I start to think, what can I do with this? So it's always try to go with open world, eyes to the world, and try to learn what actually Earth is doing and how I can translate this to my current job and make something better. So that's usually what I try to say to the students is go with open eyes to the world, try to see the bigger picture. And if you like to understand fiber or environmental packaging, see what is out there, how a tree works, how different animals protect themselves for the environment, and then learn out of this and translate this in packaging. And start to dig deeper in fiber molding, because that's not that hard, I would say, if you're connected to the right people. And this is an area that will grow, and there's not too many experts. Yeah. And I think this is a good area for a young person to dig deeper, to understand the whole 9 yards, I would say. It's start to educate yourself. There are a few books. There's not a lot. Yeah. And
sounds like a lot of opportunities. A lot of opportunities available for someone that would be interested. Hint, hint.
I tell you, it's what fiber I can use, what actually test methods I need to know. Is it compostable, recyclable? How I process a tree to a pulp? What is the waste product? What can I do with it? Yeah, I think there's so much opportunity in different direction. It's a good area to understand for the future, I think.
It's interesting, during that response, you mentioned, about knowing the right people. So, the old adage, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So from a networking perspective, I could sit here and I could give you a laundry list of people that have influenced me throughout my career. But I was curious if there's anyone in particular, or one or two people that you feel have been a big influence on your professional life that you'd like to give a shout out to.
let me say, when you're looking on professional life, that there are few areas. So I work, I'm very close to one of the top designer, a brand agency. It was a brand agency. Now she headed the master of branding in New York, in School of Visual Art, is Debbie Millman. She was very influential for me. The way how they think, the way how she interpreted design, and I try to, as an engineer, how you adapt design. So I would say she had a huge influence.
Okay.
The other good friend of mine is Elizabeth Taylorman. She is a brand strategist. So to understand what a brand has to do that you buy, and she do strategic work. And we both developed a new innovation process together called Step, Stretch, and Leap. So I translate this to the packaging world, and she translates this to the branding world. What is a step, a stretch, and a leap? And then I would say it's not influential for me in my thinking, but I'm very Tassin Dak, the inventor of, founder of Parpax, he left a sales shop with a big vision to reduce plastic and see all the elements and go after this to drive where Parpax is today, and also with a big vision where we like to be in 5 years with partners. So I would say these three people was a little. So the first two are influential on shape my thinking and added direction for me. And yeah, Tassin, I would say, I like where he's going, and I like when you see his career. He started young. He went 10 years ago. He working on this journey, and he started in a garage and up and down. And the last 3 years came really the change. So always believe on this is the right thing to do, and don't listen to everybody around you and almost be bankrupt. These are people that I really admire in their work, and they're kind of influence. Yeah.
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Well, we're getting pretty close to the end here. I did want to again thank you very much for taking your time and participating. I would love to have you back on again. Down the road, maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, who knows? Would love to learn about all the growth that fiber molding has made in since our recording here today, and see kind of what's new and what's going on with you. I also understand that you will like to enjoy a good cigar, as do I. So maybe next time we get together and put together a podcast episode, we can share some cigars.
Yeah, do something very different. Yeah, I'm all for cool, different things. Yeah.
That's great. Well, Guido, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, for listening in, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Packaging Etc. podcast. We hope you enjoyed the content and maybe learned something new. If you have ideas for future guests or topics, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to send a connection request on LinkedIn or visit www.precisionengsolutions.com and use the contact form. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us once more on the next episode of the Packaging Etc. podcast. Until then,